Hello, this is Andrew Kolsky from Stop My OCD. Today, I'm going to talk to you about an important process that I developed that I call Accommodon't. Accommodon't is based upon the fact that a lot of loved ones and family members feel the need to accommodate someone with OCD so that they don't raise their stress and make them feel bad. That actually works against them, and we're going to look at why and then how to avoid accommodating. So accommodating someone with OCD means making changes to your behavior or environment in order to avoid triggering the person's obsessions or compulsions. While accommodating someone with OCD may seem helpful in the short term, it can actually reinforce their OCD and make it harder for them to overcome their symptoms in the long term. Now, I see this a lot, and when I work with clients with OCD, I will typically speak with the family members or loved ones and help them understand that they cannot accommodate the person with OCD if they want that person to get better. Examples of accommodating someone with OCD might include the following: avoiding certain topics of conversation to trigger the person's obsessions, assisting the person with their compulsive behaviors, like checking to make sure the doors are locked, cleaning or organizing the environment to prevent the person from feeling anxious, or modifying plans or routines to accommodate the person's rituals. Any sort of accommodation can become very tiring for the person doing the accommodating, as well as being harmful for the person with OCD and preventing their recovery. While these accommodations may provide temporary relief for the person with OCD, they can ultimately reinforce their symptoms and make it harder for them to recover. It's important to encourage the person to seek treatment and to provide support and encouragement as they work through overcoming their OCD. A mental health professional can provide guidance on how to support a loved one with OCD in a way that is healthy and constructive. Andrew Kolsky, that's me, has developed a process that I call Accommodon't. It's designed to help the loved one speak with an individual with OCD in order to develop effective options that prevent accommodation and replace the behavior with something productive that actually supports recovery. The Accommodon't process is easy to remember because it is based upon the acronym AEIOU. Now, pretty much everybody out there who learned to speak English and spell is familiar with the vowels A, E, I, O, and U. So let's take a look at A. A stands for acknowledge. You want to acknowledge what the person with OCD wants and why they want it. So, for example, I understand you want me to wash my hands to be sure that I am not contaminated. That's A, I'm acknowledging. E. E stands for explain. Explain why what that person wants sounds like OCD. Do you realize that your request sounds like an OCD compulsion? Are you having obsessive thoughts? Next is I. I stands for I hear you and I want to help. I'm sorry, but you know that I would not be helping you if I participated in a compulsion. You may experience temporary relief if I engage, but you know that in the long run, we are both making OCD stronger. I know that neither of us wants to do that. That's your I. Now, sometimes people might get off track and try to sort of take over the conversation by deflecting it. That's okay. That's expected. They may try to say, yeah, but you don't do this either, or somebody else does that too, and you don't say that they have OCD. And there's all sorts of deflections they might have. If they try and deflect from the conversation, all you do is follow what I call the I loop. And the I loop is pretty simple. You acknowledge what they're saying. I hear that you think that so-and-so else does these things and isn't, I don't believe that they have OCD. And then you redirect back to where you are. We are here to discuss me not accommodating your OCD. So again, they may say something to try and redirect the conversation away to something else. In other words, a deflection. And since you want to stay on task, you simply acknowledge their deflection. I hear that you are concerned about X, but then you redirect it directly back to where we are. We are here to discuss how I can help you without accommodating. So very simple technique and keeps you from following the deflection. Okay. O is the next letter in AEIOU, and O stands for options. Let's talk about some ways that we can address the obsessive thought and work to help you beat OCD. Now, when you're talking about options, it's important to understand the difference between interests and positions. A person's interest is what they want. The position is why they want it. So let me give you an example. Son says to mother, son with OCD, contamination OCD, Mom, you need to wash your hands. Well, that's what they want. They want their mother to wash their hands. Why do they want it, though? I want you to wash your hands because you might be contaminated and you could spread contamination, which might make me or you sick. Okay, so now we understand that the reason they are looking for you to wash your hands is because it's an OCD compulsion. That's why they want you to do it. So you're going to be focusing on addressing the compulsion in coming up with options. So what can I do and what can you do? So let's take another one, for example. I had a client who was very concerned about contamination in the kitchen with food and plates and utensils, and would constantly check with his parents. Is it okay to eat this? Are you sure it's not going to make me sick? Are you sure that the plates are clean? Are you sure that there's no residue from cleaning wipes on the counter that are going to get into my system? And the same types of questions he would ask again and again, day after day after day. Prior to treatment, mom and dad would always answer the questions. No, it's not contaminated. The food is safe to eat. The plates are clean. It's okay. And on in circles they would go. The OCD got no better, and it became unlivable after a while. When they started treatment, we talked about the fact that mom and dad could no longer accommodate, and that means that they could no longer answer the questions. So we had to develop some options. What can they do? Well, what we did in this particular case was we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Son, who has the OCD, is going to take a pad and a pencil, and the next time he has a question, is it safe to eat from these plates that came out of the dishwasher? Mom is going to go through this process, work through AEIOU, and in this case, the decision was son would write down the question that he had, is it safe to use these plates in the kitchen? Mom would answer it one time, and son would write the answer down on the pad. So that the next time son asked the question, is it safe to eat off these plates? Mom's response was, I can't accommodate you. That's a compulsion. Take a look at your pad. You'll find the question and the answer there. So this was an option that they came up with that worked for them, that helped mom to stop accommodating and addressed the situation. So there's your O for options. U is the final letter, and it stands for understanding. And in U, you're going to say, okay, so we agree that the next time you ask me to accommodate you in that way, I'm going to do X and you're going to do Y. Now, this seems kind of unnecessary, but let me tell you, it is very necessary, because when people are in a discussion about options, they all each have different thoughts in their head that they're sharing with the other. And sometimes someone may say something that the other thinks they heard, but maybe they didn't hear it the way it was being said. And so by checking to make sure that you both have the same understanding, you'll avoid any misunderstandings, which are a lot more common than you think. And you'll be surprised, because you're going to go through this process yourself, and you're going to get to you, and you're going to ask for the understanding. And it's quite possible you're going to get something different than what you expected to hear. So AEIOU is how you work through the Accommodon't process. It helps you come up with a way to address avoiding accommodations without getting into arguments, without getting into fights, without feeling that you're being the bad guy. It's logical, it's calm, and it's successful. For those of you with OCD or caretakers or loved ones of those with OCD, we do offer a free support group. Sign up at stopmyocd.com, and you'll learn tips like Accommodon't and many, many other things that can help you and the loved one deal with OCD. Make sure you watch the other videos. We have all sorts of topics that we cover here, and we try and provide good quality, scientific-based resources for individuals dealing with OCD. Thank you.